Hello everyone, how you doing today? I hope you're all doing good. Okay, so this week we are going to look at the enterprise risk management for small business or small businesses as it were. However, because of time, because this is a very broad topic to discuss, I'm breaking this class into two, part one and part two. So let's go with part one. My name is Dr. Dennis Edogun. You know, building on our previous class last week, where we analyzed ISO 31000 and the COSO ERM frameworks, today I want to present a practical guidance for small businesses and entrepreneurs in order for them to be able to effectively manage their risk. Now, risk management is essential for all businesses. There's no doubt about that. Whether small business or a large corporation, everybody, including individuals, face diverse set of risk. And their ability to prepare is key to success. These two frameworks are very useful and valuable. So the choice between what to use is a matter of choice anyway. However, we recommend for a hybrid approach. Some organization can use ISO 31000 only. Some organization can use the COSO ERM framework. Some other organization might choose to use a hybrid. So either is good, but we recommend the use of both. Again, for small businesses, we know resources may be scarce. Formal processes may not be in place. So we encourage small businesses to ensure they have a system in place and they can scale. They can scale up or scale down in order to meet their needs. So at the end of this presentation, I will also be providing a practical tools and templates that small businesses can use to implement their risk management system. Small businesses face proportionally greater adverse events. Or, let me rephrase, the impact of adverse event on small businesses may proportionally be greater than the impact on established businesses. The reason is very obvious. Established businesses already have formal risk management processes in place. They have resources to implement any kind of thing they want to implement in order to be profitable. But for small businesses, especially at the beginning, resources are usually very, very scarce for small businesses. So it becomes important for small businesses to be aware of tools and techniques they can use, irrespective of their size, in order to avert, to survive or to mitigate risk. Again, we say here that small businesses with effective risk management are 60% more likely to survive beyond their first 5 years, because research indicates that a large amount of small businesses are wiped out in their first 5 years of existence. But with proper risk management, 60% of that number can be salvaged. Financial stability. Risk management will help to reduce earnings volatility and help avoid costly surprises that small businesses often can't absorb. Like I said initially, for large organizations, they usually have enough capacity, enough capital to withstand some adverse effect. But for small businesses, capital is luxury most times. Stakeholder confidence. With effective risk management system in place, your stakeholders, your investors, or your lenders will be rest assured that if anything happens, you can mitigate the risk in order for their own investment to be assured. This is very important. Also, proper risk management creates strategic opportunities for small businesses. It provides framework to assess and take calculated risk for growth and innovation. Don't forget, all the glinters are not gold, but with proper risk management in place, we are able to filter through in order to identify what may go wrong before plunging head on into any investment opportunity that may look very fanciful on the surface. Here are some few statistics just to get us thinking. 43% of small businesses have no risk management plan in place. This is actually what motivates me or motivated me to create this channel such that people who do not have enough resources to get trained or to train their employees and create system in their organizations can benefit from my classes or my lectures here. 75% of business failure could have been prevented with better risk assessment. Remember, risk assessment encompasses three major steps: identification of risk, analysis of risk, and risk treatment. Again, here's a caveat. Small businesses don't need complex systems. They need proportional, focused approaches to manage their most significant risk. The frameworks we will discuss can be scaled appropriately. This is very important because there is no one size suits all in all cases. So because of that, individual companies must look at their resources, look at where they are in their business journey, and think about what is appropriate for them. First, let's look at the ERM frameworks. The ISO 31000 side by side the COSO ERM so that we can compare and contrast these two global frameworks and choose what suits us best. ERM frameworks provide structured approaches for organizations to identify, assess, manage, and monitor risk. And these two are similar in structure. For instance, ISO 31000 was developed by the International Organization for Standardization, ISO. It focuses on processes and emphasizes practical risk management processes and implementation. And that's why in the framework, there are step-by-step approaches that must be followed from identification to risk treatment. Again, the ISO 31000 can easily be adaptable or can be adapted to suit different business situations. So it's designed for flexibility across all organizational types or size. So whether you're a small business, you are a big business, ISO 31000 is useful. I mean, in my days in oil and gas, where I spent almost 20 years, ISO 31000 was our major risk management framework that we use. On the other side, we also look at the COSO ERM framework, and it focuses on certain areas starting from the governance. Remember, without proper governance mechanism in place, risk management is not successful. Without the leadership commitment from the organization, risk management is almost dead on arrival. So that's why the COSO ERM focuses first and foremost on governance. It was developed by the Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of the Trade Me Commission in the United States. And it focuses on aligning risk management with organizational strategy, bearing in mind that different organizations have different goals, different strategy. So you are aligning your risk management to suit the particular strategy you run as an organization. And doing this helps to enhance performance. It emphasizes improving decision making and organizational performance. As a matter of fact, without decision making, how are organizations managed? Decision making is so crucial in every management for every organization. However, for small businesses, these frameworks aren't just for large corporations. They can be scaled and adapted to fit your organization's size. The key is selecting elements that address your specific business risk while remaining practical to implement. This point is very important. That's why I want to emphasize it. Because some small business owner will say, yeah, well, we don't have the resources. But here we say that you can scale, you can choose and pick different elements of both frameworks and use it to ensure they are aligned with the strategy or goals of your organization. So now let's look at the ERM framework. As you can see, there are three cyclical kind of systems, starting from clause number 4 of the framework, which deals with principles. And it talks about value creation and protection. If you create value for your company and for your customers or your clients without proper protection in place, it can disappear into the thin air. So for the clause 4 that deals with principle, it talks about things like integration, structured and comprehensive system, customized, inclusive, dynamic, best available information, human and cultural factors. Because every organization, irrespective of how automated it might be, the human beings play key roles. If we look at clause number 5 of the ISO 31000, we see leadership and commitment. I thought about this before. Without leadership commitment, it's almost impossible to implement any of the risk management frameworks. So with leadership and commitment, organizations can integrate, they can incorporate risk management in their design, they can implement, evaluate, improve, and it's a cyclical process that keeps on going right from the design phase of the business. From the design phase, you incorporate appropriate risk management element or principles all the way to implementation of the design. Then from time to time, we need to review and evaluate to see whether what we are doing is making sense or is yielding the desired fruits. Then, if we identify any loopholes or any weaknesses in the system, we can then go further to improve the system. and integrate those improvements that we got from continuous learning. We integrate it into the process, and it goes round and around. Again, if we look at clause number 6, to ensure that um, there is a step-by-step guide on how to manage risk, ISO 31000 proposed the risk management framework that you can see on the right-hand side of the diagram. Starting from, first and foremost, establishing the context of the risk and setting the scope of the risk. Then we identify the risk. When we identify the risk, we create a risk register, which is just a list of all what could go wrong when we ask the what if questions. Then we go to risk analysis, where we use either quantitative or qualitative methodology to quantify the magnitude of the impact and likelihood of the event occurring. Then we'll do that evaluation and profile solution to the problem, and we'll move on to the next stage. So ensuring this is done correctly, there are principles that must be observed. One of the first principles is integration. Because risk management must be integrated into all organizational processes and decision making. This is important because any area we overlook may be the source through which our organization get run over. Then customization. Framework and processes should be proportionate and tailored to meet your individual business needs according to your size and the context that you face. Again, organization must become learning organization by incorporating continuous improvement across all processes. We must also take into account the human factors, because I have always believed that the greatest asset every organization has is the human beings. If these human beings are properly trained and motivated, they will take care of a lot of things, because without the human beings in the process, we cannot manage risk. We can't identify risk. We can't assess risk. Finally, the ISO 31000 offers flexibility in implementation, making it adaptable to small businesses with limited resources. For instance, risk identification. You don't need a boardroom to identify risk. A supervisor and his team can sit around the table and talk about the job before they proceed, thinking about what can go wrong. And once they identify those things that could go wrong while the job is being done, they can proffer solution and put certain precaution in place to prevent the occurrence of those kind of incident. Now, on the flip side, let's also look at the COSO ERM framework. Like I said before, the COSO was developed by the Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of the Trade Commission to help organizations integrate risk management with strategy and performance. And this framework is based on 5 pillars, and it has 17 principles, each principle addressing specific aspect of the organization. And The key principles include control environment, risk assessment, control activities, information and communication, monitoring activities. These are also similar in scope to what we saw in the uh, ISO 31000 ERM framework that also taught about risk assessment, that talks about the importance of communication and the importance of monitoring and controlling activities as we progress. The five interconnected components especially relevant for small businesses are governance and culture, which establishes oversight responsibilities and reinforces importance of risk awareness by helping to create a risk-aware culture from top to bottom of the organization. The next component that is important to small businesses is strategy and objective setting, which help to align risk management with your organizational vision and strategy. Every organization must have set goals, and based on the goals, there has to be a plan to achieve the goals set. And your risk management must be such that include that allows you to achieve your organizational goal. Because as a matter of fact, we define risk as anything that can prevent you from achieving your goals as an organization. So the next is performance. What's performance? When the key areas have been identified, because you can't achieve your goal without performing the required task. So, in this sense, this COSO framework allows you to identify, assess, and prioritize risk that may impact your business objectives. Like I said at the beginning, when you identify all of the risks and create a register, all of the risks that you have identified may not have equal magnitude of impact or likelihood on your business objective. So as you implement your risk management plan, there is absolute necessity to review and revise where appropriate. It helps you to evaluate performance and identify what needs to be revised or what needs to be corrected or improved upon. Then, information, communication, and reporting are the last key interconnected component that is relevant to small businesses. It has to facilitate information flow throughout the organization and even outside of the organization, because for instance, most industries are heavily regulated by government, and the regulatory authorities also want to know how your risks are being managed. Also, across your supply chain, there is a chain that binds you, for instance, to your suppliers, to your customers, to your transport and all transport system and all of those. So a free flow of information create a robust system that allows every stakeholder to be aware of what's going on and to offer support if there are issues. Finally, COSO ERM provides structured guidance that small businesses can scale to their operations and complexity. Now, here I presented the similarities between the two frameworks side by side. So, first, the common foundations, integration with decision making. Both frameworks emphasize embedding risk management into all organizational processes and decision-making activities. 2. Risk-aware culture. Both promote developing a culture where risk awareness is part of everyday operations and everyone understands their role in managing risk. This point is very important because the role of the employees at the shop floor is different than the role of the supervisor. The role of the supervisor is different than the roles of the manager. So everybody must be aware of their roles and their responsibility in managing risk according to the scope of their responsibility. Then both emphasizes continuous improvement because as we learn lessons on a day-to-day basis, this lesson learned must be documented. When we document our lesson learned, it becomes a reference point for future decision making. Also, there are strategic alignment between both. Both focus on objectives. Businesses are set up to meet, objectives. When you identify the need in the market, you provide solution to the need, then you have a business. But how do you ensure that you are continuously meeting the needs of your customers or clients? Then there's guidelines, not rules. Rules are implemented or enforced by law of the land or laws of government. But these two frameworks provide guidance. They are there to be used in addition to whatever else works for the organization. What that means is that they are not mandatory unless in some cases where some industries are mandated to ensure they use either or a combination of both. So they are not rules and regulations, they are guidelines. And both also focuses on performance improvement. Performance is so important in every organization because without improving your performance, then your goal may not be met. Having reviewed the similarities of both frameworks, let's also look at the differences of both frameworks. For instance, on the left-hand side, I present the ISO 31000. On the right-hand side, I present the COSO framework. For the ISO 31000, the structure is concise and streamlined, just 16 pages, making it very flexible and easy to be comprehended and utilized for any business of any size anyway, whether small business or big business. Also, the geographic focus. The ISO 31000 focuses on the entire globe because it was adopted by 57 plus countries across different parts of the world. On the other hand, for the COSO, the structure is more comprehensive. It has over 100 pages. It's a huge document with detailed guidance requiring more time to fully understand and implement, which makes it sometimes more suitable for organization with the resources. The geographic focus also for the COSO, it focuses primarily on North American states, with most contributors from the US, particularly Washington, D.C. and New York City, where it originated from the US. Target audience for the ISO 31000, rating for a broad range of risk management professionals across all industries and organizational types and size. On the other hand, the target audience for the COSO was targeted towards accounting and auditing professionals in the United States, evolving to broader application in recent versions. But originally, it was focused on accounting and auditing professionals. Focus. ISO 31000 focuses almost exclusively on risk management and integrating it into strategic planning processes. The COSO ERM brought focus on corporate governance with risk management as one component of organizational oversight responsibilities. Framework and process. For ISO 31000, clear distinction between risk management framework or organizational structure and risk management process, which is the activities. But for the COSO ERM, the framework and process combines framework and process concepts with only one of 5 components directly addressing risk management processes. And the terminology are similar. For instance, ISO 31000 uses risk criteria to describe risk parameters and tolerance levels. Minimum focus on risk appetite in earlier versions, although later versions are beginning to also look at risk appetite. For the COSO ERM, extensive discussion of risk appetite with visual example of risk appetite, tolerance, and capacity concepts. These are the basic differences from both frameworks. Everything that has advantages surely must have some disadvantages. And here I've presented some of the weaknesses and strengths um, of both framework, focusing now on the strengths. Like we said initially, for the ISO 31000, simplicity and flexibility is very easy to understand and adapt to different business sizes. Shorter documentation, only 16 pages, like I said before, compared to over 100 pages for the COSO. Industry agnostic, applicable across varieties of sectors and industry across different parts of the world, and focus on value creation, emphasizing opportunity alongside risk mitigation, because risk is like a two sides of a coin, the two sides of a coin. One side is positive, the other is negative. So the COSO ERM also has strengths: structured approach, clear components and principles for specific implementation. Strategic alignment, direct integration with business strategy and performance. Governance focus, stronger emphasis on oversight function of leaders of organization. Risk capital guidance, detailed approach to determining acceptable risk level. After your assessment, you're able to determine which is too high and which is too low. You determine a threshold of risk that you can accommodate as an organization. As advised initially, the best practice is, use a combination of both. Adapt some element from ISO 31000 and other from the from the COSO ERM framework. And this choice must be based on your business complexity, availability of resources, and the industry requirement, because some industries are more regulated compared to others. This is the end of this phase. Like I said, the uh, because of the importance of this topic, I broke it into two so that each lesson will not be too time consuming or will not take so much time. But I can see this has also taken a lot. But the goal is to ensure that we understand and apply the principles. So, gentlemen and ladies, like, comment, and subscribe for more risk smart insights. Drop a comment. What risk are you often missed when the contest is ignored? Also, what risk can you, what approach are you going to use in adapting both framework that is presented today? Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next lecture.